I mean, you can't be a master of everything because technology is changing so rapidly. Every time every Friday or Monday, you get new implementation notes or new cliff notes for the software. You can't be an expert, but you have to be broad enough that you can at least go this deep, not a mile, but at least this deep to get people on a level playing field. So we aren't experts, but we do provide expertise. And if we don't know the answer, we certainly can call someone.
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting edition of the Undisrupted podcast. Adam, the state of the library. It's an interesting thing. Here in Texas, I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but they have the state of Texas has taken over Houston ISD. And as part of this initiative, they're actually converting libraries into what they're calling team centers, which are essentially places where, which you might imagine, it's a place where kids that maybe be struggling in class, discipline issues and stuff, they go to the library. So they're not getting rid of the library itself as a space, but they're changing the use of the library as a space to more of a kind of a detention center of sorts. Thoughts on that, or just in general, the state of the libraries?
I have a lot of thoughts.
I imagine you might.
Some that I can say on the podcast, and some we'll have to say for after hours.
But, the after podcast, yes.
Yes, behind the music, we have to have that one. But here's the thing. There are so many research studies out there that show schools with high functioning library, media centers, learning commons, whatever you want to call it, are also your high achieving with our state test scores. That's state to state, east to west, north to south, across this great United States. That's what the research and data tells us. So instead of trying to restrict access to the libraries, we need to be expanding access and ensuring that students have the resources that they need in those spaces, the books that cover a wide range of topics that they will have access to. That's where we need to be going with all this. We don't need to be restricting access or turning these spaces into these holding cells or land of misfit toys. Yeah. That's not where we need to be going with this. But that's just my humble opinion. Yeah. What say you, Hooker?
I agree with you on that point. I will say this too. I was doing some digging on the schools that they've targeted, especially in Houston, specifically for this article. And it seems to be always you can imagine which schools they are, right? The low SES, underachieving, high minority schools. And so now you're telling me that those schools aren't going to have access to a library that other schools in the exact same district will, because they're going to use it as a different approach. And so I think I see what they're trying to do in some ways. And I do think the library is changing. I mean, it's going to have to kind of as technology continues to evolve. But I don't think taking that away from them is a smart idea. We'll see how it shakes out. I can tell you right now, it's not been very popular. I just saw the Houston mayor write something about it recently. But enough about what we think, Adam, because we have two amazing guests from the great state of Michigan, where I went to middle school and high school for a couple of years before they kicked me out. Jennifer Parker is the instructional technology and school data consultant for Macomb ISD. And Kate Grunow is the instructional technology consultant at the same school district, Macomb. Macomb, is that right? They're nodding. Okay, good. Macomb ISD, yes. But also, I should tell you this before they come on and give us their viewpoint. They also are co-authors of a book called Making the Move with EdTech, a book that I recently got to check out. I want to thank them for gifting me that. An awesome book you guys need to check out when you get a chance. All right, ladies. What's your thoughts? Libraries, what are we doing with them? Good, bad? I mean, I don't know what's happening there in Michigan, but it's kind of interesting what the transition's happening right now. Jen, we'll take you first on this.
Well, it's kind of funny. I was a library media specialist for 10 years, and it was I had a couple of examples of some struggles where they would bring in, rather than it being a learning zone at lunchtime, it was a detention zone. And you have to fight that because you want the kids to have this idea of it being a great place to go and be and participate. You don't want it to be where they send the bad kids. So I kind of pick up what you guys are sharing. And another thing that Kate and I have recently experienced, we've got this fabulous makerspace in our intermediate school district. And they just recently approached Kate and I about, hey, we want to make that a timeout room.
Oh. Forgot about that.
It's like, really?
So bad.
No. What part of no? Why would I give you my makerspace for a timeout room? we're still perplexed about that. So yeah,
What would
I'll
they?
toss it to Kate.
Yeah, what would they make? What would they make in that timeout room if they
I
had a
mean,
makerspace, Kate?
I'm not sure.
They wanted to turn it into like a calming room, which I have seen done before.
Yeah,
Like the counseling
a blue
office was
room.
talking
Yeah.
about doing like the VR, AR headsets to calm kids. But the idea behind that was they wanted this this makerspace. Jen was there for the inception of it. Like it is a work of art. It was very thought out. There's a ton of money dumped into this space. So to just turn it into
Yeah.
like a Zen space, it just
Yeah.
seemed like a disservice. But back to the library conversation, I thinking about the libraries in the schools that I've worked in, like what Adam said, like the research supports this idea that like where schools have libraries that are in working order, that those students perform better. But I think the sad reality of it is that many of these libraries are so outdated, the
Mm.
books and the resources that are in them. Even for the ones that are functioning, like I'm not sure they're really being used the way the library is being intended for use, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So
And
definitely,
the budgets are shrinking.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
shrinking the budgets, and they're not putting certified staff in there, so they're run by a clerk. And it's the first place to make cuts.
Yeah.
I'm definitely against though the detention center idea. I don't know, reading shouldn't be a punishment. The library shouldn't be a punishment. It should be something we're kind of like nurturing for enjoyment. And I think some of that has gotten lost over the years.
I did
Yeah,
ask my.
definitely. I mean, I remember as a kid, that'd be one of the things I'd look forward to. When you had that time when you'd go to the library, get to pick out your books, and having someone in there to help you get the right fit book is so important. You mentioned having it properly staffed, and then the resources have to be there. We have to put our money where our mouth is, and to ensure that they're getting things done in those spaces. But y'all do a lot in your spaces. So Kate, go ahead and tell us, all the listeners out there, what is your current role, and like exactly what does a day-to-day operation look like for you?
Okay. I'm an instructional technology consultant. So I work at Macomb ISD, as Carl mentioned. We support about 22 school districts across Macomb County. So you're looking at about 130,000 students, 10,000 teachers.
Wow.
Each of the districts do it a little differently. So, like, we have Google schools, we have Microsoft schools. We provide platforms countywide like Discovery Education and Schoology. But at the end of the day, every school kind of operates as its own local entity with its own unique things that are going on. And we do PD for them. So they choose to work with us, and we're grateful to have that opportunity to work with them. It could be face to face, it can be virtual. We also help them make decisions in terms of like what tech they might implement in schools, but they come to us just looking for guidance. And it's a partnership between us and the districts. And my main role is usually our learning management system. So I do quite a bit with Schoology, helping districts implement that district wide, especially since COVID.
Jen, what do you want
And
to add? Anything to add to that? Like anything you missing there in terms of? It sounds like you guys cover a lot of space.
We do. I'm the lead on the Discovery Education learning experience, and we tag team a lot of things. I do the Follow Destiny Library piece. We do a lot of the PD for them, but there's a couple of things that we do countywide that are kind of innovative. I think we've got a Macomb Academy, which is a blended learning academy that we run. It's a 2-year cohort model, and we were doing that. We're in our 10th year of doing that, so we were blended before blended was cool. Trying to get our teachers. And it's funny, we got a lot of great feedback about how those teachers felt so empowered, and so they could hit the ground running with their Schoology implementation and their use of their Google or their Microsoft, because they had lived through that with us. So we're pretty proud of that. And we also do a coaching network. We've got a ILC and coaching network that are instructional tech coaches who really felt like they were the tech help desk during the pandemic. Now are being more empowered now that we're post-pandemic to get into classrooms and do more cool stuff, because God forbid we return to death by worksheet. We want those teachers to, keep moving the technology needle forward. So those are a couple of the initiatives that we also do in our department.
So with that, you brought up something that was really interesting, and it seems very challenging, with every school having the autonomy to kind of do their own thing, being able to support that many. Like, how do you manage that? Because I know there's a lot of folks out there who are maybe in similar situations where schools have a lot of control and kind of have different platforms, different resources. So how do you manage those different initiatives across a school district?
Jen, you want to take it or you want me
Well,
to?
I'm just thinking to kind of tag team on the success of that coaching network, because if it wasn't for our coaches in our each of our districts kind of giving us the feed or letting us know what the needs are, I mean, you can't be a master of everything because technology is changing so rapidly. Uh, every time every Friday or Monday, you get new implementation notes or new cliff notes for the software. You can't be an expert, but you have to be broad enough that you can at least go this deep, not a mile, but at least this deep to get people on a level playing field. So we aren't experts, but we do provide expertise. And if we don't know the answer, we certainly can call someone. So,
Yeah, that's was my thought too. We kind of are great at bringing the right people to the room.
mhm.
So we have these monthly meetings and they can vary, but like there's a data group that meets and these are all like your data leaders in the county. And then we have an iTech meeting that's monthly where you have all your tech leaders in the county. And I can't really speak to what it was like before, but since I've been in the role and I got hired right before COVID, I just feel like teachers and leaders more than ever are coming together to find out what they're doing in other districts. So there's a lot of crosstalk between districts just to get a feel for what others are doing. It seems to me
Yeah.
like since COVID, there's more collaboration than ever where they're just interested to see how others are doing it and they're collaborating more. And Jen could speak more to that. I don't know what it was like before, but that's at
Well,
least what I've noticed since COVID.
I'm in my fourth intermediate school district, which is in Michigan. It's a county. It's a county technology position, and I really felt like, and I've been here 15 years. I really feel like I live on Fantasy Island because when Kate talks about these county tech directors, they do work together. Our monthly meeting, they're like, "Hey, Google Schools, what do you got for this?" Or, "Hey, Microsoft Schools, what do you got for this?" Or even with the AI conversation, we had a couple of the guys that were already digging in, and they brought it to the tech director. Okay, as a county or as a local district, how are you guys uh, embracing this, hitting it head on? What are some resources we can share? So it's that collaboration that I feel like I'm on Fantasy Island where they're supporting each other. And I know it's not like that everywhere else because I've seen what it is in places where, every unique district wants to have their own dog and pony show. But here, it's that collaboration piece that I think is pretty important, pretty great about Macomb.
I gotta say, Adam, that's the first Fantasy Island reference we've ever had on the show. So I'm kind of excited. Love that show. The plane, Mr. Rourke.
That
Uh,
plane, that plane.
well, you hit on AI there for a second, so I want to ask both of you this question because we're contractually obligated to mention on every single podcast now that word AI. So check the box, Adam. We
Yes.
did it again. AI in general, your overall thoughts. Kate, we'll go with you on this. Just like where are we at in terms of the learning journey of generative AI specifically? Where do you think your schools are headed? I'd love to hear your viewpoint on it.
Yeah, so I think when it first came out, one of the initial, like jerk reactions to it was to block it. I think schools are more open to like developing policies than ever. In our county, I know it's open, it's not being blocked, but that wasn't the case in the beginning. And of course, that's kind of sporadic. They all do it a little differently. Personally, though, I'm working on my doctorate, so we were digging into differentiated instruction. And I just did a little bit of research on how it might be used to differentiate instruction, which has been like historically kind of thought as a time consuming. But generative AI, I thought after I took a closer look at it, could really be a great way to do that efficiently. So just thinking about how you can kind of prime the AI to come up with results that are going to help you differentiate by process, product, and platform. But like it could really be a thought partner instead of something that kind of replaces the role of the teacher. And I don't know, I want to give a shout out to Amy Jackson, who is from our tech and learning group. She said something at our last summit about how we've kind of lost the art of teaching. But I think even if you're using generative AI to come up with like new ways to differentiate, it's still up to the educator to kind of decide how they're going to develop that content and design it and put it into practice. So you're not losing the art if you're using it as a thought partner instead of a replacement for the teacher.
Jen, thoughts on that too?
Well, I come at it from I guess it's my library media specialist hat that I come at it with, and I really appreciate in our county how they haven't blocked it and they're starting to embrace it. And it's kind of like the origins of the internet where it was like, oh, filter the internet, keep them off there, it's bad, it's the wild wild west. And now it's like AI, oh, GPT, keep them off it, block it, block it. No, teach them how to use it responsibly and ethically and as a learning tool. Embrace perplexity and embrace chat gpt. I mean, we want these tools that'll help them take their learning to the next level. And by blocking it or making them see it as something bad, I can't I can't in good conscience have that be where I'm at in my head as an educator. I want to, throw those new tools out there, teach the kids how to use it, and be a good digital citizen.
There it is. Ding.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yep, there he goes. But and that's the thing. Technology is neither good nor bad. It's all about the implementation and the usage. And if we can teach them to be responsible users of said technology, that will lead to, as you mentioned, digital citizens that are using the tools for good. That they are achieving and doing more than we can even imagine. Because that's the thing. It's changing so rapidly. They'll be doing things that we can't even imagine with this space, with AI. Just think about what's changed from November to now. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. June to July, even I was doing a workshop in early June, and I had like 8 AI tools that I was showing some teachers. And then tomorrow I'm actually doing a new one. I think I'm up to 17. So I'm having to kind of trim them back, like slide generators and image generators and prompt generators, and keeping them in categories, quiz AI generators, which of course every teacher wants, but it's the rapid pace of change is such an interesting thing. Yeah.
Carl, your 10 tools, your 10 tools for AI that you kicked out on your blog was really well done. You got the super meme and the Curapod, and
I've already replaced like 10, I've already replaced like 8 of them. It needs an update already. Like probably every week it'll just keep going. It'll be 17 next month and then 23 the next month until it's like
a good start.
Until we become that dreaded 50 apps in 50 minutes presentation.
And go.
And it's all come back again. 2011 all over.
Well, to kind of keep up with all this stuff, you have to have your community. I mean, earlier, Kate, I think you mentioned Amy, getting with her at Tech and Learning and sharing some ideas. So for the listeners out there, tell us how the two of you kind of connected. There's definitely some synergy in what you guys are doing. So tell us, how did y'all get together, and how this relationship kind of grown as peers and colleagues?
Wow. So this is this one we're going to take back a minute. So I was in the classroom, and I was probably in like my second or third year of teaching. And my principal thought I was young and that I should be a part of this committee that was working with technology to develop this course. Well, they were using our 21 Things project, which Jen was one of the original creators on. And they wanted to come into the classroom and see what it looked like in action. And I talk about this all the time, but I remember thinking, like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to let him in the door. And they came in the classroom, and they were like, they offered me a job the next day. She was like, we love what you're doing. We want you to come work for us. So I was doing side work for them for a long time, just doing PD with Jen and writing curriculum. And then eventually her partner retired, and then the position opened up, and then here we are. So it's kind of random how it all went down.
I toured her classroom, and I said, Kate Grunow, you are a crackerjack. And she had no idea what I meant.
I went home and Googled what a
you Google searched it.
Inside.
I didn't know what it was. Yes. I was like, what's a crackerjack? Is it bad?
Like, so amazing. I mean, she had, she was doing all these cool teaching strategies, like the rotation that you did, the one sit and the three
teach
rotate.
One, teach the group, one stay, 3 stray.
Yeah, the 1 stay, 3 stray. I mean, she just was doing all this around our 21 Things for Students website. And it just was amazing. And I thought, she's just this young, innovative, inspiring teacher. And so she did start doing some work on the project with us. And when my partner retired, it was just really, there was a long list of applicants, but Kate rose to the top. She was amazing. And I love working with her. She's great. So, and that kind of, that did bring us into when luckily we were a team during the pandemic, because we did see this huge transition of these teachers that I think every school district in the world had the teachers that could barely check their own email in 2019. And then you had these teachers that were rock stars, and they were, pushing the envelope and using all this cool stuff. And here we are with 10,000 teachers in our county going, what are we going to do with these people? We go from tech basics to tech embedded. How do we help them? Help their kids? And so that really was where we had Kate likes to call it the COVID baby that we had, that kind of ended up in the book that we wrote with, we took some of our favorite teaching moves and just said, how can we help these teachers scale up comfortably with technology? They don't have to be tech rock stars to survive and have their students have a great experience. And they don't have to be, trying to entertain them with all the bells and whistles of technology. Just take something that you're really good at, some teacher move that you love, like the gallery walk. And rather than having the kids do the sticky notes on the newsprint paper, now you're online. So what are you going to do? Can you push the envelope and, hey, let's try Padlet or Jamboard, or hey, we're completely high flex, or we're completely hybrid today or online today. How about we use the Zoom whiteboard, or we use the discussion board to reply to each other and interact. So trying to get that comfortable implementation of technology has been kind of a benefit of working with Kate, and I'm really glad that she was there to ride out the pandemic with me.
That's Yeah, it's a lot of different things. There are a lot of moving parts for 10,000 teachers across that county, and to be able to collaborate and find, I think a successful team like you guys, you have to have strengths that you play off of each other. So I'll ask this follow-up question to each of you. Kate, I want you to tell me, what are Jen's strengths? And then Jen, I'm going to ask you, what are Kate's strengths? Like, what is the thing that, like, what is the part that she kind of fulfills that kind of helps make you guys a dynamic team? So Kate, go ahead, give us some praise here.
Jen can work a room. From day one, she can work a room. She can get them going. She can energize them. She's the host with the mostest. So yeah, definitely. And then also me having come from the classroom and her being in the position for so much longer, she is always considering the 30,000 foot view, thinking about the different moving pieces, like your, administrator component or your curriculum district leadership. For me, there was a shift. Like, I think I'm shifting more towards that 30,000 foot view now that I've been in the role for 3 years. But in the beginning, like, I just really didn't consider the other lenses. And she's really good at reminding me of those other audiences that we need to keep in mind when we're in a role like ours, working for so many districts.
All right, Jen. Now, Kate.
Well, I got to say, I'm going to say it again. She is an absolute crackerjack of a teacher. She could shoot out a million tech tools. She's not just about the tools, though. She's about the pedagogy. So watching her implement a strategy or make a move is really quite powerful. She is a go-to resource. When she came to Macomb, she knew Schoology, but now she's on the National Schoology, board. She doesn't just know the tools. She's respected in the profession. She goes deeper. She researches. She makes sure she knows more about what she's doing. And I think she's got the respect of everybody when she walks in a room, because she knows her stuff. So I also think that she brings to me an opportunity to think. She'll look at me and she'll say, I'm not dismaying the idea. I'm just thinking about it. And me, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, just slow your roll, sister. I'm like, okay, take
just
pause.
Processing.
She's like, I'm just processing. But yeah, this book, and I know we keep circling back to the book, but really, even though it was a COVID baby, it was so easy because we have such a special, not only friendship, but collegial relationship. We click. So for that reason alone, we have been it's been great to work with her. It's been amazing.
Dream team.
I love working with her.
Dream team.
Go team. Yeah.
Dream team.
Yep.
Go team.
We like working with each other.
Yeah, I liked how you're able to get that making move in that answer there. I saw what you did there.
She's getting good.
Every time.
Plug it.
That's right.
So here's a final question, and I'm gonna throw to both of y'all. And we love to ask all of our guests this one question. With everything that goes on day to day, and even as we're getting ready to start the new school year, what is something that you do to keep yourself undisrupted?
Are we talking like finding our Zen personally? Or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you don't say going to the media center as a stop room or timeout room, that's off limits.
Or eating 6 boxes of Cracker Jacks. Yeah.
I mean, I do enjoy a good bag of potato chips, but in my aging, I've really taken to running quite a bit. So I find my happy place running. It's was unexpected, but if I want to clear my mind, you'll find me hitting the pavement.
Yep.
Oh, I would, but those shin splints, I still haven't recovered from Here's a running track. Those shit splits. This
My
is
back. My neck,
I'm not
and my back.
me.
And for me, my therapy is a little retail therapy. I get my
Ah.
guys walk in the retail. I love a good Goodwill store. I love a good Salvation Army. I just think it's cool to see unique things and artifacts that people have decided are no longer valuable to them, and I think that would look good in my huge wall of collections of junk. I actually not that bad, but
She has
I'm not a
kidnapped
hoarder,
me.
but
Yeah, she has kidnapped me a time or two to hit up all of the Salvation Armies from like all across Michigan. I'm like, can we go help that?
yeah, I just love it. And I don't usually walk out with anything anymore, but it's just fun to see. It's almost like a walk through time.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
So do you do that also when you travel to an event? So,
I
I know
do.
you're at Philly for
Yeah.
ISTE. Did you do it in Philly?
I hit two. Yep. I hit two. I hit Goodwill, and there was a really good St. Vincent de Paul.
Ooh, those are good.
Ah.
Yeah, they get some good furniture in there. Well, and I know Kate was also running while she's at at conference too, because I think you went out running one day when it was raining, so in Philly, which is like most days we were there.
Mm.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining us, guys. Check out the book. It's called "Making the Move with EdTech." It's 10 strategies to scale up your in-person, hybrid, and remote learning. Available on Amazon and also through Solution Tree, their publisher. We'll make sure we drop a note in the show notes here. So I want to thank you for joining us, Jen and Kate. And for our listeners out there, be sure to subscribe, give us a review. We'd and we'd even appreciate it if you give us a shout out on the actual podcast channels, whether it be Stitcher or Spotify or whatever you're doing. We'll find it and we'll give you a shout out on a future show. This has been the Undisrupted podcast, brought to you by Alfred. He's Adam, and you can follow him at AskAdam3 on X, not Twitter.
Still have such a hard time saying that.
I can't say it.
My app icon has changed now. I'm like, what is this? This is
What's
Xfinity?
happening?
Like, I don't know what this is. But I digress. And he's Carl, and you can follow him at Mr. Hooker. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we are better together.
And we are better
Undisrupted.